It's my privilege to introduce Tom Shaw. I know Tom from way back when, about 20 years ago, when Heartland Institute had a Michigan office. I was on the Board of Governors at that time, and Tom was our executive director here in Michigan. Since then, Tom's moved on to bigger and better things. Now he's the senior editor and publications manager at the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. He, in the past, he was on the editorial board for the Detroit News and thus has a real writing background. And I'm going to let him introduce our main speaker tonight. Tom?
Thanks, Bill, and this is kind of enjoyable to be able to introduce Dave and be introduced by Bill. They were both on the Board of Governors of the Heartland Institute in Michigan when I started as a young man, and they were very indulgent of my the many things I needed to learn, starting out in the Libertarian movement and starting out in the work world. Introducing Dave, definitely a pleasure, in some ways a little difficult because we all know him. We know him as a comrade in arms in the Libertarian movement. He has always been there. He's been vocal and visible. But for those of you who are not as familiar with Dave and his many professional accomplishments, I thought I would run through some of them. Dave is now the senior economist at the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. A few years ago, in 2005, he retired after 35 years at Comerica Bank. When he retired, he was a senior vice president and chief economist. But during that 35-year period, he in fact was the head of the economics department and the research library there. And during that time, he became known really as the best known economist in Michigan. He was remarkable for his forecasting accuracy, and he was quoted regularly in newspapers, in the radio, on TV. And these were in national venues like the Wall Street Journal, CNN, and elsewhere. And during that time, he also managed, near the end of his career, at a time when many people would be out playing golf and phoning it in, to win the Lawrence R. Klein Award for blue chip forecasting accuracy. This is in fact a very distinguished award. The nation's best economic forecasters are all competing very, very hard for this, and it involves accuracy over a 4-year period in economics prediction. It is not an easy thing to do for 1 year, let alone for 4. In any event, Dave has been remarkably successful in his professional career, so much so that his contributions to the economics and public policy have in fact been archived now at the Bentley Historical Library Collection at the University of Michigan, which is sort of encouraging when you think about the University of Michigan. But I think that the really neat thing about Dave, and the reason that he's here tonight, and the reason that we're looking forward to hearing from him, is that for all of that professional success and for all of that kind of success in the mainstream media, he has been relentless and vocal in his support of libertarian ideas, free markets, human liberty. And it's a great thing because the pressure when you're in the public spotlight is to shy away from that kind of thing. It's controversial. It can get you in trouble. But Dave, in fact, always used his connections in the media and in the business community to give free markets, libertarian ideas a higher profile. So much so that libertarian presidential candidates got the chance to be interviewed on WJR, major radio stations, and to even speak to the Detroit Economic Club. These were venues that would normally be off limits to an idea like libertarianism and limited government. And in the midst of that too, Dave was frequently asked to talk about politics, and he spoke very, very bluntly. He was, in fact, occasionally, I imagine, giving gray hairs to the folks at Comerica Bank because, in fact, the corporate model is to not cause controversy. The thing with Dave was everybody wanted to listen to him. And so In fact, he was probably the only senior economist at a bank who ever described an action by the governor as a wretched reneging on his promises. That was Governor Engler, by the way. And I was told later that in fact someone at the bank had come to him afterwards and said, "Dave, we understand reneging, okay? We understand that, but did you have to say wretched reneging?" And the beauty of it is I think the answer is yes, he did. And he actually did go ahead and say that. So I think the great thing about Dave is that he did not just get interested in liberty when it was easy. He didn't just do it in front of us when it was popular and easy and we could all pat each other on the back because we believe in this thing. He took it right out into the public domain. He did it relentlessly, and I think he did it for a very good, very sound reason. And it doesn't have to do with all the neat statistical regressions you might do in economic forecasting. Again, simply because he likes people. He understood that people need freedom. He understood that people suffer when you take their freedom away. And he understood that that was wrong. If he didn't say it, that was wrong too. Okay? So, Dave, we welcome you, comrade in arms. It's terrific. We look forward to hearing everything you have to say.
I ought to let you keep talking. I haven't been introduced, I bet, any time before. Tom, Emily, Bill, ladies and gentlemen, supporters for many, many decades, lovely LibertyFest evening. I'm delighted and honored to be with you. Both Esther and I are honored to be with you. As a magnificent introduction, Tom, I'm overwhelmed. In a way, now that I think about it, I'm sorry you didn't give the honest introduction. The way you described it to me the last time, I recall we were talking about that, in which case you say, Dave, in addition to being a really expert forecaster, is also a very humble person with much to be humble about. Congratulations also to the Libby Award winners. Congratulations, as I read about it with delight and erstaunt just a couple days ago, the victory of the rejection of the Washington millage. I think that's I mean, as multi-partisan, logically based, and a terrific symbol, not only for Southeast Michigan, but for all of Michigan and for the nation. Emily, I see the topic tonight is Impact Issues for Candidates 2010. I'm delighted about that, folks, because this could well be the upside of what I've been presenting all year. That is the prospects for the U.S. and Michigan economies if current policies continue. Those talks were that I gave were most appropriately given, needless to say, after a prolonged cocktail hour, sometimes on Halloween, April Fool's Day perhaps, or even yesterday's Friday the 13th was most germane. Actually, as you know, I am an optimist. By nature, I'm an optimist. It's awfully easy today, almost regardless of what you touch here, to be a cynic. I'm not a cynic. A cynic is a person, I think, by definition, who smells the flowers and looks around the room for a coffin. That's not my nature. Nevertheless, to be perfectly candid from the outset, if we were to dig ourselves out of the economic financial squalor, we must first face reality.